Topic of discussion for most East Tennesseans, the heat. The heat index has pushed temperatures above 100 degrees for days, and that trend isn't going to change in the near future. My colleague Robin Wilhoit joins us from Volunteer Landing. She's glistening. Robin, you have a little bit more on how this is all impacting all of us.
Yeah, how do you like my fan here? Scripts coming in handy, that's for sure. John, this is the type of heat. You walk outside, it immediately takes your breath away. And if you aren't prepared, this is extremely dangerous. That's why we are taking this chunk of time to provide you with the information that will impact you during your daily lives. Speaking of your daily lives, these things right here become part of our daily lives. Our iPhones, our cell phones, Blackberries, iPads. We take them everywhere. We even leave them in our blazing hot cars. The question is, how does the extreme heat affect these small gadgets? Stoney Sharp checked this out today, and you got some answers for you.
I did, Robin. Yeah, you'd think that all this heat would really fry the inside of these devices. That is the case somewhat. However, we also learned that the bigger case is all the heat really affects the outside of the devices much more.
It feels like 100 and some. It's hot.
The heat has been so electric that you need an electronic device to take your mind off it all.
I've been listening to music.
Heidi Whitehouse is figuring out the bad news while watching her kids play.
With my iPhone, it'll flash up like a black screen and it'll say temperature and with an exclamation mark.
Temps trigger trouble with such technology.
I usually have to hide it under a towel or do something with it for a while until it can come back on.
Because these devices have temperature sensors built into them for the processor and the battery to make sure they don't get too overheated and actually explode.
Chad Oakley works at Cellular Cells. He says Androids and iPhones have that shutdown technology.
You know, if it's going to be sitting in your car all day, it needs to be covered. It needs to be in a glove box. It needs to be shut off for that matter, too.
As far as e-readers and tablets, same thing. According to electronic expert Dan Thompson with Claris Networks, the insides of small electronics are more durable nowadays and use less moving parts. That's why heat hurts the outside of these devices the most.
I've heard everything from screens cracking to delaminating, which means the screen actually pops out of the device.
A chance Whitehouse will take if it helps beat the heat. So overall, if your device is hot to the touch, it's best to turn it off and put it in the shade, which we probably need to do that to this one right now.
Mine is calling for the same thing.
Yeah.
All right, Stoney, thanks so much. We'll take that advice. When we checked out our Facebook page and our emails today, we noticed a question that was asked several times. That question, do utilities shut off power and water during these extremely hot times? We took that question to KUB, and they said they don't have guidelines specifically related to the heat, but they do make decisions on a daily basis. So given that, if you are having a hard time paying your bills, KUB encourages you to get in touch with them so that you can come up with a payment plan that you can work with to get those bills paid and that your power and your water stays on. I'm very fortunate. I usually work inside with air conditioning. This is an exception, but consider the people who work out in this heat in hot situations. We're talking mainly about firefighters. They have to take extra steps to stay safe when it's hot like this.
Just putting the gear on itself is a strenuous activity in this type of heat, and can zap you just wearing the gear. Let alone, the fact that you're going in fighting a fire and coming out. It's not uncommon for a firefighter to lose, 7-8 pounds just in water while fighting fire.
Imagine that. So ways that they stay safe is they drink plenty of water, plenty on hand, ice, sports drinks. They continually stay hydrated. And that is a piece of advice for all of us given this heat. We have to stay hydrated. If not, some serious health risks could be coming your way.
The smartest thing to do to beat the heat is stay inside and avoid it. If you must go out, just stay hydrated. Eat a good meal. That's very important when you go out because you burn a lot of energy, a lot of calories, and it's good to stay hydrated and stay on the front end of the hydration and not the back end trying to make up for it on the dehydrated side.
We certainly want to keep an extra eye out on people who have pre-existing conditions, because certainly they are much more vulnerable during times of heat like this. I'm looking longingly behind me at this wonderful, cool, wonderful water. Looking forward to taking a dip a little later maybe, but certainly the levels are right where they need to be given our wet spring, our wet summer. TVA says lake levels are actually ideal for summer recreation, and they say the wet weather that we had of late, it also gives them the flexibility to turn to hydropower to help take some of the load off its other power generation systems on these really hot days.
Right now we're using hydro to kind of help support the rest of the system. And so for the hours that are the most critical late in the afternoon, if you can see from the board behind me, green means that we're running. And so most of the hydro plants we're running during the hot part of the day in order to help meet those peak loads. And so then at night we'll turn those dams off. Then tomorrow we'll bring them back on as temperatures heat back up.
Now, TVA says when there is more power moving through, there is less demand, of course, on those reservoirs. One word that is just hand in hand with heat is humidity, and I'm certainly feeling it as we speak. The question is, what is humidity? The perfect person to ask is meteorologist Todd Howell. Todd, all I know is it's pretty miserable.
It's 104 degrees right now where you're standing, basically, Robin, in Knoxville. You know, a lot of folks have been asking, what about the comparison? You know, yesterday we had that pop-up shower storm that moved through. It moved through quickly, some heavy rain in parts of Knox County and south, and then the sun came back out, felt like a sauna. Well, what about on July 4th? A similar time frame. We had some thunder showers that moved through. Back on the 4th of July, you see it started out sunny, the parade, and then we had those thunderstorms develop, and then it cooled off. Well, you know, humidity, comparing the two, basically the big difference was the size of the storm or event. We had a cluster of thunder showers move through July 4th with a better pool of cooler air behind it, and also a breeze. So the presence of wind, the air mass source, and the size of the shower storm has a lot to do with lowering that humidity, making it feel better. Yesterday's pop-up storm was small. It moved out, the sun came out, and it felt like a sauna. And we're going to have a look at our hot forecast for Thursday coming up as well. Stay cool, Robin. And I know you want to take a dip, but tell you what, it's very hot out there right now. Back to you.
All right, Todd, thanks so very much. We are going to continue talking about weather coming up tonight on Fox 43 10 o'clock news. We're going to take a look at the long-term forecast. Hopefully that will involve some relief. But for now, let's send it back to that cool studio, and I think I'm going to go hit the fountains behind me, John.
I think that's an excellent idea, Robin. Thanks so much for your reporting down there. Volunteer landing today.